Hey, good evening, everyone. Hope you all had a great day, a great week. The rain was sure nice and refreshing the last couple of days, and it sounds like we're on in for another 5 day onslaught of it, even out here in the desert. So be braced, I guess. I like the rain myself. Friday out here reminded me of living at the beach. Beautiful day out here. Nice, consistent rainfall. Something we haven't seen in the desert probably for 10 years or more. So, hey, this morning I posted something again from chapter 1, from the subtitle Dealing with Male Sexual Abuse in Western Cultures. Dealing with Male Sexual Abuse in Western Cultures. And before I go any farther, I'm starting school tonight, and it's going to be every Tuesday. So I'm probably going to move this live feed to Monday evenings. It'll be at 6 o'clock, but on Monday evenings. That's a free night that I have at this point in time. So starting next week, and I'm sorry it's early this week, but starting next week it'll be at 6 on Monday nights, okay? You know, in our Western culture, men are taught from a real young age, and you've heard me talk about the man rules before, societal rules for men. And, you know, those rules are don't cry, don't be weak, don't show your emotions, don't show your feelings, suck it up, be a man, figure it out. And those are all very devastating rules for men. Now, there is a place for those in society. You know, you can't be in the middle of a board meeting and get all weepy. Oh, you hurt my feelings. And I mean, there is a place for them. I will agree with that. But when we're kids growing up, we're never taught how to deal with those emotions and feelings because we're told, you want something to cry about, I'll give you something to cry about. What are you crying about, you sissy? I mean, I could go on and on and on. We've all heard it over and over again. It's the same story. And so we repress all of our feelings. And so when it comes to the sexual abuse, well, we're supposed to be men. And why would we want to say anything? Why are we going to talk about it? Because if we talk about it, then people are going to know, or they're going to think that we're weak, or they're going to think that we're gay. And even if we're not, and if we're gay, they're going to think that we deserved it. So why would we want to say anything to anybody? So I quoted from my book one sentence out of the first paragraph of that subtitle, and it is, I was scared out of my mind when I committed myself to dealing with the issues related to my childhood sexual abuse. It's funny because for years I used that sexual abuse as a way to be a victim, as a way to manipulate people, as a way to get my wife to do what I wanted her to do. What happened to me happened to you, you'd be doing the same thing. But then when I come down to talking about it in recovery, it's a whole other thing. It says any sane man raised in Western civilization would be crazy not to be scared. Of course we're going to be scared. You know, get over it. It happened a long time ago. What's the big deal? We'll look weak. We'll appear real weak. We allowed another man to violate us. Like about being weak. The wounds from childhood sexual abuse, especially for men in Western cultures, are pervasive and insidious. I remember one of my meditations early in recovery, sitting in deep meditation, and it came to me that God spoke to me and said that, Randy, the scars are deeper than you could ever imagine, and the damage is incomprehensible. And I remember writing that down, and I can tell you now, after almost 12 years of recovery and journeying on this path, the scars are deep. They're real deep. And new ones keep coming up, reminding me of how deep they are. They're not as bad as they were early on, but they're still there. Western cultures give men a clear picture of what is and what is not acceptable behavior. So starting with the societal rules for men when we're young boys, right away, The Western society tells us what it is and what it's not to be a man. So again, I go back to it. Why would I tell anybody? It's one thing to share the struggle of getting over an addiction, since contemporary society has accepted the therapeutic process of AA, and it's okay to talk about it. But in most circles, it's not okay to talk about being sexually abused. And I'm going to backtrack a little bit, because since I wrote this book, a lot has happened in AA. And it was my experience in AA that I could talk about it, and people were accepting of it. They didn't tell me to take it somewhere else. Where I know countless people, countless men that have been pretty much shamed out of AA meetings for talking about it. What the reason for is, I don't know. I wasn't there. So I know that we have to be careful about who and when we talk about the sexual abuse, who we talk to about and when we talk about it. Actually, if you're in AA, a good sponsor when it comes to this part of an inventory will tell you, if he has no experience, he will tell you that I can't help you in this part of your inventory, in this part of your life, but we'll find someone that can. You'll need to find somebody specifically for this part of your inventory in your issues. The big book says you cannot transmit something you have not got. That says it all right there. So if you haven't dealt with this, you have no right trying to help somebody that's going through it, because actually people can do more harm than good. Remember last week, I stated that the book is not about assigning blame, and it's not. This book is not about assigning blame. But the goal of the book is to overcome the stigma of sexual abuse and start a dialogue about the issue. So the whole goal of my book here is just to start that dialogue. Okay? Start the dialogue about what happened, how it happened, and then how we can heal from it. If we don't start the dialogue, then it's just going to stay buried deep inside of us, and we're sick as our darkest secrets. So we've got to start talking about these secrets we're carrying. Hi, Danielle. Thanks for joining. We got to start talking about these deep, dark secrets. If we don't, they're going to just eat us up alive. A lot of times for men, it's easy to feel the cards are stacked against us, especially in this area. So I'll tell you right now, if you're out there and you're feeling that way, you're not alone. I mean, they are stacked against you in many different ways. You just need to know that there is people out there. There is a select few, and you go to my website, you buy my book, that we're here to help you and listen to you and walk you through this process. MaleSurvivor.org has got huge resources. Hey, Kathy. 1 in 6 has got huge resources. I'm working with men one-on-one as a life coach to have these issues right now. So there are resources out there, and yes, we want to hear you. Okay, we want to hear you. Because those cards are stacked against us. It's the reality for most of men. That is the reality for most of us that have been sexually abused. Cards are stacked against us. Modern Western men are not supposed to be crippled by post-traumatic stress-induced rage and blame. We're not supposed to be crippled by that stuff. But yet we are. The rage and shame that comes from it. We're not supposed to cry because we're men. But, there's nothing farther from the truth. Men do cry. And that's okay that men cry. One of the guys that speaks with us starts talking about certain things on our presentation, and he cries in front of, doesn't matter if there's 2 people there or 250 people, he cries. And that's okay, because those are real emotions and real feelings that we have. But somehow society tends to think that we're not supposed to have them. They're not real, they're just fake. You know what I mean? Really, the only feelings you're supposed to feel is like pride at a job, well done, and joy when a sports team's winning. That's the only time we're supposed to get excited. Hey, great job. Go out and have a few beers and let's celebrate. Or we win a softball game or a basketball game or our favorite football team wins, and we can jump up and joy and high five everybody. Or the other one, we get mad. It seems to me like one of the acceptable emotions is anger when men blow up. I mean, but that's not what anger is about. Anger is supposed to be a healing emotion, not a damaging emotion. And society has turned it into that. Because of all these stigmas around the male sexual abuse in our society, male survivors barely get the help they need. Again, they're afraid to speak up. There's so much shame attached to it. Hey, Bob, there's so much shame attached to the sexual abuse of men that oftentimes a lot of the men that when we go speak, they might come up and say something to us, and they got their heads down, which is natural. We give them a card, and a lot of times we'll never hear from them again. On occasion, we'll hear from them, and they'll go ahead and they'll move forward and they'll get the help that they need, and those are the victories that we look for. But a person might not have talked about a sexual abuse for many, many years, and the day that he does, it can be overwhelmingly burdened with heavy shame that evening, that night, the next day. And so there's such a stigma that America's attached to it. And when you look up, I look up epidemic, and it is of epidemic proportions. If 1 in 4 boys or 1 in 3 girls being sexually abused, that's epidemic. The effects of sexual abuse on a child's psyche are the same for boys and girls, but society's judgments about sexual abuse often make the experience more devastating for boys. It seems like for society, they're more empathetic for females and for women if they're raped or molested, with the exception of the guy up north of that one college, that bonehead judge, what he did. But anyways, there's places where women can go and get help. But for men, where are we going to go? Where is there? There's very few places in the United States that people can go to get help, especially men. So it's stigmatized a lot more for the men. And here's one of the facts that we know now is that sexual abuse, either by a boy or in a boy or a girl, we both, male or female, we both feel dirty and tainted. That's the one thing that we do feel the same. We feel dirty, we feel tainted. But women still feel like a woman. Okay, they still feel like a woman. You might have to think about that way. It's not that you don't feel less than or anything else, but you still feel like a woman, where a man doesn't feel like a man anymore. Well, why? Well, because he allowed somebody to violate him. That's why. So that's another stigma. We can't say nothing. You don't know how many times I have heard, just get over it, Randy. It's no big deal. It happened a long time ago. I'm sorry. It doesn't happen that way, Sadly enough, the legacy of sexual abuse for boys is that if we don't get help, we can live in the state of trauma for the rest of our lives. God, I'm so grateful that I got help. I know there's one person on here that knew me before I got help. And she knew what I was like. I still had a heart, but man, I was a miserable son of a gun. And if I wouldn't have got help, I would probably be either locked up in jail, dead. I definitely would be divorced. I wouldn't have my family. The trauma was devastating for me. And I was fortunate enough when I walked into Betty Ford, I had some very, very good counselors that really helped me a lot and allowed me to finally start talking about how I feel. They didn't stigmatize what happened to me. They were empathetic, and it made a whole difference, for me. Couple additional hurdles that we have to overcome in this area are being helpless. Being a helpless victim violates Western society's genders for men. I missed something. Sorry. I'll just go right here. To compensate for this, male survivors generally take one of two self-destructive paths. Okay, they can become extra masculine, conforming to the most macho stereotypes, often downplaying or completely denying the facts of their abuse. Man, I've seen that so many times in treatment. I mean, we've talked to so many hundreds of men that we can pick him out when we walk in the rooms. There's a guy right now I can picture, and he's in the back, and he was all puffed up, all buffed out, a boy from New York. He thought he was the baddest boy in the room, and he'd been sexually abused, but he was minimizing it, denying it, because he didn't want nobody to see that facade, through that facade he had up. Or they can get away from the masculine feelings they experienced after their abuse. So they feel deeply inferior because they have emotions that men are not supposed to have. I think I fall into that category. You know, I was emotional. I always have been. Felt less than, but I couldn't let nobody see that. So I built up. In a sense, I was both of these, because I did build up a wall around me. Act all tough and hard and bad, you know. I myself went through both these paths. I'm naturally outdoorsy, taking up the most manly careers and hobbies possible, which I do. I hunt, I drive a big truck. I still drive a big truck. Not as big as it used to be, but big. I'm extremely competitive still, although I've tamed that down quite a bit. I went through periods of dark, desperate depression, but only showed the world my anger, because that's what happened when you're depressed. Your anger, because one reason for depression is repressed anger. It is acceptable for men to express anger, but not sadness. In my case, I suffer not only from sadness, but also from the self-hatred of being sad at all. So, if we don't start this conversation right here, I'm transparent. I gotta be. Because if I can't be transparent, then other men are going to think it's not okay to be transparent. And oftentimes men say, we hear you talk, me, the other men that are in our group, therefore we feel safe enough to talk. If we don't start helping men get better, then our society is going to keep falling apart, and women are going to keep being mistreated. Men have to be allowed to feel their feelings, their emotions. They need to be able to talk about what's going on in their life. Look, if for any men that are going to watch this out there that are career people, you're sitting at home, you're quiet. I don't want to talk about it with my wife. It's not for her to worry about. Wake up. She's going through it already. Everything we go through, our spouses, our partners, our boyfriends, our girlfriends, they're going through it with us. And by cutting them out of our life, by saying, I'm not going to talk because I'm not supposed to, because society tells me I'm not supposed to, and you wonder why marriages get destroyed in this society. There's no communication. So with that, I got to run. I got to go to school. I will see you all next week at 6 o'clock on Monday night. 6 o'clock on Monday night. I got to move to Monday nights. ChangeYourLifeStoryNow.com. If you go on there, you can see I'm taking clients now. As a matter of fact, I got my office all set up in here, a nice little chair. We cleaned it all up this weekend. So I got a nice office to see people now. And also, if you go to that page, if you click on, you go there, you can go to my ride page right across America. It's happening June 18th. Now I'm doing the promoting part of it. So if anybody wants to donate, I can use all the donations I can get. Whether it's $50, $10, $100, $1,000, whatever you heart, I need the donations to get across America to pass this message from here all the way to Beach Lake, Florida. CourageousHealers.com. CourageousHealers.org, CourageousHealers.org. That website is still being rebuilt. My old one is still up, but the new one is being rebuilt. So you can go visit that as well. Kathy and I are having our couples communication workshop Saturday, January 28th from 11 to 2 at the house. I think so far I have 5 couples signed up, which I'm happy about that. We could probably take about 5 more, and then we'll have to move out. And that would be my goal, to move out of the house. So you can get my book, Healing the Man Within, at Amazon.com. I think that's about all I have for tonight. So you all have a super blessed week. Try to stay dry with these storms that are coming in. I know I'm going to love walking in the rain. I got a 100-mile ride on Saturday. I hope it don't rain Saturday. If nobody tells you they love you today, remember, Randy does. But even more importantly, God does, and He's always there for you. Be blessed, guys. See you next week.